Hello, my friends. I'm traveling right now, but I didn't want to wait to let you check out the second half of my interview with Steve Rosen about his memories about Eddie Van Halen. If you didn't see the first part, I'm gonna post a link to it somewhere up here. So check out the first part first. And if you've seen the first part already, then here is part two. But also, I want to tell you and urge you to get Stephen's book. It's really a fantastic collection that's based on over 40 hours of recorded cassette material, conversations with Eddie Van Halen over 26 years. So check out the link, check out the book and the audiobook with all the cassette tapes in it. And without further ado, lean back. Here is second part of the interview.
And I think the other one was maybe Love Walks In.
Right.
But this was
Yeah.
months and months before 5150. But in
Yeah.
answer to your question, no, I never heard him sit down and actually play keyboards, but I heard him do that. And I watched him, and he was a really good keyboard player.
One
his
thing
independence was amazing.
Yeah, and one thing is obvious, when you listen to Van Halen in general, he was not just hearing the guitar part, he was hearing the whole arrangement, and it all mattered equally to him, not just his guitar part. Like he wasn't a typical guitar player in that sense to me. So that would be my next question.
Yeah.
What is your view of Eddie as a producer? I know he started producing more and more towards the later part. Was he the type of producer that just stepped in and told people what to do, or did he have another kind of guy next to him, kind of like let's say like just another an engineer or another control person? That did he need someone else next to him, or was he the kind of mastermind that put it all together?
Right. That's a great question, man. And we sort of talked about that. Not about, actually, I did ask him once. And I said, I asked him, would you ever want to produce a record? And he goes, no, no way. So, no, I don't. He was a great musician. He was a great songwriter, composer. I don't think being able to oversee a production project, I don't think that was part of him. Could he have learned that? Certainly he could have. And yes, Edward needed someone there, a sounding board of sorts. And there were two people that supplied that, excuse me, Ted Templeman, who was the producer, and Don Landy. So at one point he describes Don as his interpreter. And I thought that was such a beautiful definition of what Don did. Yeah. So Edward's playing, there's this, and Edward has his tone, and Don interpreted it and goes, oh, Edward wants to hear this. And Don would make that happen in an audio sense.
Right on.
And Ted made that happen in a sort of an orchestral arrangement sense. I asked Edward, because I wasn't sure how much Ted actually brought to them as a producer.
Yes.
So I said, did Ted really bring in like musical ideas or arrangement ideas? And he goes, no, not really. So I think Ted was more just sort of the glue. And maybe Ted would have said, hey, man, cut the verse down. Or, obviously Ted was a very musical guy. Ted was in a band. Ted had done amazing productions with the Doobie Brothers and all of those incredible Warner's artists. I think Edward, when he heard something, it was like, hey, this is what I'm hearing. This has to go down.
Yeah.
I think the other points in time, especially on those earlier records, I think Edward would defer, because Don was understanding what he wanted so perfectly. And I think Ted was just really just the ears for Edward and was kind of putting down on record what he believed Edward was hearing. Ted was really Ed's guy. I'm sorry. Ted was really Dave's guy. Ted spent most of his time with Dave doing that kind of thing. So we think about, again, and sort of an addendum to your question. So we think about the 3 album with Gary Sharon. Edward produced that record.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. There you go.
I like the record. I haven't spoken to anybody else who likes the record at all. The label didn't like the record, and the fans didn't like the record. Now, I believe that was because fans were not willing to accept a third singer in Van Halen. I mean, it could have been Paul Rodgers, it could have been Paul McCartney singing. Honestly, at that point, I don't think it mattered.
Yeah.
You know, Edward's guitar tone had changed. Was that because he was producing? I don't know. But you know, and I know that was disappointing to Edward because he was basically the producer. I think maybe he was a little. I think he was kind of unhappy that whole period. So maybe that was part of what we're hearing on that record. But no, I don't think Edward was the producer.
Well, also, you know, let's put it in perspective. It's just super hard to wear those hats at the same time, and to be the artist and then be the one behind the glass to make the decision is almost impossible in a way. And the way I see it with Ted Templeman, you know, even if he maybe didn't do so many like interfere with the band, maybe that was his strength, that he just let the guys play, and then just in the right moment he would say like, hey, this thing that you're practicing in the hallway, what is that? You know, let's put that on the record. You know, that's all it took to put the whole thing together, kind of. But yeah, you need that person kind of to see the big picture of what the passionate people, you know, they're doing in the moment, and they're just guts and passion. But then you need someone like a George Martin kind of type that says, oh, you know, let's take this from over here and from here, and this could go together well, just like that.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And it's Ted who recognized Edward messing around with Eruption, who said, hey, what's that? Let's put that in, right?
That's what I meant. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
Right. Yeah. And then later on, you know, Mick Jones comes in and produces that record. I forget which one. One of the Sammy Hagar era records. And I thought Mick Jones would have been an amazing producer. He was so musical. I mean, Foreigner. I mean, whether you like Foreigner or not, the guy was an incredible songwriter. I thought he would have really brought a lot. And Edward said, nah, he didn't do much.
Yeah.
Strange, you know. And then Bruce Fairbairn and Mike Frazier came on and did the Balance record. And those guys were extraordinary producers, you know. And I think they had a lot of input. That Balance record sounded way different than the earlier records. So Good, Bad, and Indifferent, I think those are producers who really brought their own stamp to the record.
Right.
But yes, man, I think a lot of times the producer is just more of a babysitter psychiatrist, right? Just to make sure the guys don't fucking kill each other, you know.
Right? Is there any particular moment in the book that just absolutely stands out to you? I mean, I'm sure there's more probably, but can you share one with us?
Oh man, there are a lot of moments, and I realized that as I was writing the book, and I would listen to a cassette, which I hadn't listened to since they were recorded. So again, some of those cassettes go back to '78. I start writing the book in 2020. So we're talking, what is that? 42 years, 48 years. I'm a bad math major here. You know, so I'm going and I hear a part, I go, oh my God, that was happening on that.
And then you remember everything, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I remember one of the moments is in '86 when I approach Edward back in '86. They had just done the 1984 record. Sammy Hagar joined the band. Edward was arguably the biggest guitar player in the world. Van Halen were monstrous. I thought to myself, other writers are going to ask him, to write his life story. I want to be the person. So I remember thinking, I have to ask him. I have to ask him. I have to ask him.
Right.
Now, honestly, it took me a long time to build up. In Yiddish, there's a word called a chutzpah, which is basically the balls to be able to do that. You know? Right. And so I finally, you know, I remember going over there one day and I said, I'm going to ask him first thing. And he's there in 5150 and he's sitting at the board and there's a guitar in his hand. I go, Edward, you know, other writers are going to want to write your life story. I want to be the person to write that, And I'm thinking he's going to go up, take a couple of days to think about it, or goes, yeah, well, we'll see, And he takes a puff and he goes, yeah, man, it would have to be you. I can't see how it would be anybody else.
Amazing. Yeah.
And that moment, I'd known him again from at that point, it was about 9 years, and I had mad respect for him, of course, and I believe that he had a lot of respect for me. But he was willing to allow me to write his life story. I mean, that was remarkable.
Yeah.
In fact, here's a moment that's not in the book.
You know what? Actually, tell us what it is, and we'll share it with the watchers here. Yeah, we'll put it in. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, this moment is not in the book because I felt it made me look too needy. Okay, look, I've got to tell you that I am incredibly critical of what I do and what I've done. I've always been that way, which is why in the book, there's a section that I call notes. And these notes are sort of like this omniscient person looking down at Steve Rosen and sort of dissecting what he is saying and saying, what a fucking stupid thing to say. Why would you say that to Edward Van Halen? Dude, you're a moron. So it was my way of looking at myself sort of in a third person.
Yeah.
Right. So this next bit is not in the book.
Can we listen to that bit in the uncensored version?
You mean, is it?
No, I mean, do you mind if we share it here with the listeners?
Oh, no. And this is like first time. This is really, I'm going to reveal this. Yes, this is uncensored. There is a chapter in the book. I think it's called NAM. They're torpedoes. NAM, N-A-M-M, NAM, which is the National Association of Music Merchants.
Yeah, the NAM show, right? Yeah.
The NAM show.
Yeah.
It happens once a year, and I think it happens. I know it happens in California. I think there's one in.
We got a summer NAM in Nashville. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In Nashville, I think there's maybe a winter show in Chicago.
Oh yeah, got you.
Right. So for those who don't know, it's where all the companies get together, all the guitar makers, amps, drums, keyboards,
swarm of bees, like bzzz.
It's crazy. So I was there with Edward. We flew on a plane together. We stayed in the same hotel together. We're walking in the parking lot. He is going to jam. He's going to jam with some guys. And these guys include Ted Nugent, John Entwistle, Brian May, and I forget his name, and forgive me, I believe it was the guitar player for Julian Lennon's band. Nice. We're talking about monsters, right?
Yeah.
And I remember walking across the parking lot, and he's there talking with Brian or John Entwistle, and we're walking, and I'm sort of a few steps behind him, because it's like it's like Wayne's World. I'm not worthy. It's like there's no way. Yeah. Even though it's funny, I had interviewed Nugent and John Entwistle and Brian May. I'd interviewed all of them.
They knew you already then, yeah.
They honestly, it's not like they would say, Steve Rosen, my best friend, but they would know me, right? Yeah. And so it wasn't even that, But I thought I can't bring myself. So I'm kind of falling further and further behind, and I'm thinking, fuck, what am I doing? I don't belong here. Yeah. I'm a liar. And I really felt those things. And I didn't want to write this in the book, because it's like, hey man, you're there with Edward Van Halen, you're writing this book, you have those feelings. I had those feelings. Yeah, and I felt like an inch tall, and I remember Edward turning around and seeing me, and dude, this is making me cry. He walks back, puts his arm around my shoulder and go, what are you doing? And brings me up to hang out with those guys.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. That's just amazing.
he
It
didn't
just
have
speaks for itself. Yeah.
exactly
And
right. Right. I
and
mean, and I did.
I've been in those kind of like dog eat dog rock musician kind of circles where it's usually like, excuse my language, my French, who got the longest dick, and it's just like a dick fest basically, and like for him to forget about you would have been even understandable, maybe, you get sidetracked. But for him to
Absolutely.
have that kind of like he just was connected to you emotionally, and it's like, okay, something is missing. Where's my friend? Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly right.
yeah,
And the title of the book is Understanding Edward. So
yeah,
that title works
yeah,
on two levels. So understanding Edward, like trying to figure him out, but also understanding as an adjective, like Edward was like sweet Edward, like understanding Edward, and that
yeah,
was part of him. You
yeah.
know,
Beautiful. Yeah,
yeah, it was amazing. So I
yeah,
mean, there's 1,000 other moments I could recall, but
yeah.
those two really stand out.
Amazing. So, you mentioned to me when we talked before that you also have an audio book version of this, right? And I think you mentioned that the audiobook version has a lot of those tape recordings in it, so you can actually listen to Eddie's voice. Can you just tell us a little more about that?
Absolutely, man. I'm so happy you brought that up. I believe that my audiobook is the first of its kind, in as much as, so let me go back a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
So I never intended to do an audiobook. Um, uh, I don't know why. I guess, well, for me, I've always been sort of if you can't hold a book in your hands, it's not a real book.
yeah,
I realized that was a little myopic, right? I mean, look, I understand it's a digital world. People read now on Kindle. They read on, all these sites. Audiobooks were kind of very au courant, So I decided to do an audiobook. So my first problem was, who am I going to find to narrate it? So I looked online, and I listened to some of the other audiobooks of the Van Halen books, and there were several others out there. And I listened to these narrators, and they were professional, and it was good, and their speech was very clear, but there was no emotion. I mean, they
yeah,
sounded like robots. It sounded like automatons. And I thought, how is that going to work, And then I thought, I could probably find one of these narrators, and they may not even know who Van Halen was, or only peripherally.
but I gotta intersect here. I mean, we just met, and I wouldn't want to have the book read by anyone else but you, that was there in all those moments. That's the whole point, to hear your
That's
voice.
great.
Yeah,
And but see, then it goes back again to my lack of self-confidence. I'm thinking, I'm the last person anybody wants to hear read the book. So that, honestly, man, that's what I think of. It's like, oh my God. And then someone suggested, oh, use AI. You can send them 2 hours of Edward talking, and this AI can duplicate his voice. And I had no doubt they could. I thought, if I do that,
yeah.
I'm going to have the whole Van Halen nation at my front door wanting to hang me from a tall tree. So I knew that wasn't going to work. And then I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I could narrate it.
Yeah.
So I luckily ran into this guy, Tanner Popper, funny name, who actually lived a couple blocks from me, had a little studio, but some nice outboard gear, good microphones. And so I remember going over there and sitting down thinking, I'm going to narrate the entire book. And I remember sitting down trying to narrate the first paragraph, which was the intro. And I remember, reading, oh, you're reading my book, and I'm and I fuck up the third word, and I do it again, and I can't get through the first paragraph. And I'm thinking, oh my God. And then I asked him to play it back, and I'm listening, it's one of those things where you hate hearing your voice on tape, you know, one of those things.
Yeah.
You hate looking at a photo of yourself. And I listen, I go, hey, you know what? It's not bad. If I can get through 280,000 words without fucking up every other word. So I got to the first thing where it's one of Edward's interviews and I'm reading it. So me, Stephen Rosen. Oh, so when did you start playing guitar? Edward. Oh, I started playing guitar when I was 15 and my dad played, you know, clarinet. And I stopped and I go,
it feels too weird, huh? Yeah.
This is, people are going to hear that. They're going to go, this is ridiculous. I'm not listening to this book.
Yeah.
And what made it different is that most of those books that you hear, there's not a lot of dialogue. It's more just all narration. So it works with one narrator. So I thought, what if I could use the actual, and honestly, it just came to me. Like,
you had them. I mean, who has,
what a
how many,
genius. Like,
how many cassettes are we talking, by the way?
30 or 40 or 50.
Wow. So like 40 hours, let's say, at least.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can embed the actual audio.
Amazing.
I had my buddy in Australia, Adam Roach. I start sending him the tapes.
Wow.
Some of them are labeled Edward Van Halen, July 18th, 1987. Some only have his name on them. I didn't even know when they happened. As I'm listening to them, when I'm writing the book, I would listen to some key moment because I didn't know, you know, I'd pull a tape. So to make a long story short, I would send him the tapes. He had to keep everything in order. He put everything together on cement. This whole process took 8 months. And when it was done, I thought it was remarkable. I don't think that, again, there's another audiobook that utilizes the actual audio from the subject. It's always a narrator. So yes, I believe my audiobook is amazing. And if you don't read, you have to get the audiobook.
Yeah.
Also, there are moments when Edward is playing guitar, when he's noodling around, you will fucking flip out. You can hear those moments when he's playing keyboards. There's a moment when he has just bought his 2 Les Pauls and he cranks it up through my Marshall stack. It only lasts for about 15 seconds. It's worth the price of the entire audiobook. So,
yeah.
And I also wanted to mention, I just put up an ebook, which is up on Kindle. So if you don't want to schlep around a 4-pound book, you can go up on Kindle and get the ebook.
You know, that was going to be my last question. Where should people go if they want to pick up that book? What's the best place?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can find the book on my website. Very simple. Tonechaserbook.com. One word, tonechaserbook.com.
Perfect.
You can also find the audiobook there as well. It will take you to the page. You just click on it. For non-U.S. residents, you can also find it on my website. Postage is a little more. Obviously, sending a book to the UK or, you know, Turkey or whatever, but you can find it there. And if you want, you can also find the book on Amazon.
Yeah, and you find the ebook and the audiobook too, right?
No, Amazon you can. I'm sorry. Amazon you can find the hardback and the ebook. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes,
and the
yes.
ebook, can they? The links are all on your website, I guess, right? I mean, if people go on your website, they can find all the links.
They can find the links on my website. I'm not sure if there's a link. I don't think I put it up yet for the ebook, but it will be up there on my website, tonechaserbook.com.
Awesome. Fantastic.
So, yeah.
I mean, Steve, thank you so much for sharing, you know, these remarkable stories. And I hope we'll stay in touch about this. But, you know, this is a huge inspiration, I think, for many guitarists. And I'm glad the world gets to know more about these collections, you know, that.
Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And so I'm going to sign up for your guitar teaching program here, and I want to play guitar in 2 weeks like you do, pal. So
let's do it. I'm ready.
all right, pal.
Hey, such a pleasure, man. So, what did you think? It's really incredible, isn't it? To hear all these stories firsthand from someone that played guitar, it just blew my mind. So, I want you to consider getting the book for 2 reasons. Number one, that way you can learn even more about Eddie. There's so much material there. You can actually listen to the audiobook and hear Eddie talk in those recorded cassette tapes. But the second reason is also that Stephen wants to publish more material and he needs support. Very few people know about him. In fact, that was the reason why I wanted to publish this interview, for you to get to know Stephen. So by supporting him, he will be able to publish future books and maybe even get a bigger publisher that can help him to publish books of all the other guitarists that he was involved with. So yeah, I'm gonna actually get his book and support him, and maybe that will also inspire you to do it. I mean, we're talking about like 30 some dollars, it's a nice Christmas present. Consider that, I'm not getting any percentage of this, so it's just to support a fellow music maker. In that sense, keep on watching, and I'm gonna post it one more time. Here is the link to part 1 of this interview. Talk to you soon.